Welcome back to Anything You Want, the channel where we uncover the untold stories behind the brightest stars. If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe, tap the bell icon, and join our growing family of curious hearts. And for our loyal viewers, remember, by hitting the join button, you can help us bring you even deeper, exclusive stories that no one else dares to tell. Now, let's step into the world of Can Yaman, a man adored across continents, yet haunted by the shadow of his own reflection. Once upon a time, on the bustling streets of Istanbul, there was a young man who smiled at strangers simply because their eyes were kind. He was not yet the international sensation known today, not yet the man whose name filled headlines from Rome to Madrid. He was simply Can, a man who believed in people. That sincerity was his power, an invisible light that drew others in. When cameras first captured that spark, the world thought they had found a new hero of modern television, a man who blended Mediterranean charm with raw authenticity. But fame is a double-edged sword. With every magazine cover and every viral interview, the real Can began to fade, replaced by an image sculpted by agents, stylists, and publicists. What began as spontaneous laughter slowly turned into a rehearsed smile. The boy who once smiled freely on the street became a man performing his own life, one headline at a time. The transformation was subtle, almost invisible to those who saw only the glamour. Behind the sparkling eyes that melted millions of hearts, there was a growing silence. Can Yaman, the symbol of confidence and vitality, began to lose touch with the very energy that made him special. He wasn't simply tired, he was disconnected. It's easy to believe success is freedom, but what happens when your success becomes your cage? When every post, every word, every smile is measured, approved, and timed? Can's life turned into a meticulously directed movie, each act written by someone else. He became an actor not just in front of the camera, but in his own existence. And in the quiet moments between shoots, the applause would fade, replaced by the soft echo of loneliness. Because beneath the perfection of fame, a truth lingered: the man the world adored no longer recognized himself. For years, Can's name became synonymous not with his art, but with his romances. In Italy, he was the passionate lover, the Mediterranean heartthrob. In Turkey, he was the man whose every relationship was dissected and debated. But behind the glossy photos and cinematic kisses, something was missing: authenticity. The line between real affection and professional partnership blurred until it disappeared entirely. The woman beside him, Sarah, wasn't just a companion, she was a strategist, a curator of perception. Together they built a picture-perfect story for the cameras, but when the lights dimmed, silence returned. She managed his schedule, his image, even his emotions, until love felt less like a feeling and more like a marketing plan. Yet, beneath the pressure to appear flawless, a quiet rebellion began to stir. For the first time, Can questioned whether he was living for his audience or for himself. Before he was an actor, Can was a scholar, a graduate in law, a thinker, a strategist. He once believed reason could control emotion. But the heart, unpredictable and wild, had other plans. The more he tried to rationalize his choices, the deeper he fell into confusion. His conscience whispered, "This isn't who you are," but his ego answered, "They're all watching, don't stop now." This constant internal battle became his private hell. Even in crowded rooms filled with laughter, he felt utterly alone. The world saw a confident star, but within, a man was quietly collapsing. He realized that fame had given him everything, except peace. At this point, dear viewers, if you've ever felt lost behind your own mask, hit that like button, because even the brightest among us sometimes forget who we truly are. When Sarah entered his life, everything seemed under control, or so it appeared. The smiles became forced, the conversations rehearsed, the joy mechanical. She wasn't a villain, she was a mirror reflecting what had become a brand instead of a person. He smiled for the camera, but the child within him cried for help. His social media became his battlefield, every caption a defense, every selfie a shield. But no filter could hide the fatigue in his eyes. This was not arrogance, it was survival. He had become a prisoner of his own perfection. And yet, within that prison, a flicker of light remained. Every downfall hides the seed of transformation. For Can, that seed was solitude. He began taking long walks at night through the streets of Rome, far from the eyes of photographers. He disconnected from social media, choosing silence over spectacle. His absence sparked rumors. Was he fading away? No. He was waking up. Those close to him say he no longer chases every opportunity. Every offer, every glamorous collaboration now passes through a single question: will this make me feel free? He learned that not every door that opens leads to freedom, some lead to new prisons made of gold. It was in that realization that the true Can Yaman began to re-emerge. One quiet night, unable to sleep, Can sat alone and wrote a letter to his mother, a woman he had drifted away from amid the noise of fame. He never sent it. But in that letter lay everything unsaid: regret, longing, shame, love. I was the one who walked away from the person who loved me most, he wrote. That single sentence became the first stone in rebuilding his inner home. Because sometimes, healing doesn't come from applause, it comes from forgiveness. Not the kind we receive, but the kind we finally give ourselves. And what of Sarah? She remains in his story, not as an enemy, but as a lesson. Some people don't stay to love us, they come to awaken us. Sarah exhausted his heart, but she opened his eyes. She reminded him that true love isn't about control, but liberation. Love should heal, not suffocate. And through that pain, Can rediscovered what love truly means: to be free enough to feel. There will come a day, perhaps soon, when Can Yaman steps into the spotlight once again. But next time, the light will shine differently. It will no longer illuminate an image crafted by agencies and advertisers. It will reveal a soul, imperfect, human, alive. When that moment arrives, the world will feel it. Because authenticity has a power that no publicity can manufacture. Fans will recognize it immediately: that genuine smile, that warmth once thought lost, will return. And we, as viewers, will not just see an actor, but a man reborn. If you believe in second chances, drop an emoji in the comments below. And tell us, which side of Can Yaman do you want to see next on Anything You Want? As we close this story, remember, fame may enlarge a person's name, but it can also shrink their soul. Can Yaman's journey is not just that of a celebrity, it is a mirror held up to every person who's ever lost themselves trying to be what others expect. But like every true story, this one carries hope. Because even the brightest stars, when they forget themselves, can reignite their light. And when that happens, the whole world shines again. Thank you for watching Anything You Want. If this story touched you, hit like, subscribe, and tap join to support us, so we can keep telling the stories that matter, the ones hidden behind the lights. Until next time, stay curious, stay kind, and never forget. Sometimes, the greatest comeback begins in silence.